Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Then. I'm, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. And again, that you're looking after yourselves and one another, because that is what is most important. We are back with our top five albums of the 1990s. In this episode, Bill Schuster and I are going to be covering 1995. How you doing, Bill?
I am great. I'm ready to go back to 95. That's the year that I met my wonderful wife, Stacy, and the year we got married. Yeah, we were quick, but we're still together. So, hey,
There you go. There
so
you
it was a pretty good year for me,
go. I can
to say the least.
say the very least. Now, 1995 in terms of music was I don't know. I mean, it was a bit of an odd year. Guns N' Roses were missing in action. No thanks to Axl Rose. Um, Prince was in his fight with his record company, Warner Brothers.
Prince mentioned we're counting
Uh,
them.
and you had other artists out there such as Smashing Pumpkins releasing double concept albums. So, and again, you had that big juggernaut of an album, Jagged Little Pill, from Alanis Morissette. So you had basically a lot of different musical styles. So what we're going to do between the two of us, we are going to give you our top five albums plus two honorable mentions. And as is customary with these episodes, sorry, one sip of coffee and I'm already off the rails. I will pass the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster, and he'll give us his number five for 1995.
Thank you, sir. Let's do this. All right. My first one is the first appearance by this band from either of us. It kind of started out as a solo project in the 80s. It was using a band name. Eventually, they got a regular band lineup for a while, which only had one major change when the drummer changed a few years on from here.
Mhm.
Uh, the album I'm talking about is The Sky Moves Sideways, and the band is Porcupine Tree, which was largely the brainchild of Steven Wilson. Uh, he eventually had Richard Barbieri join on keyboards, formerly of Japan, and Colin Ed went on bass and Chris Maitland on drums. And that was the classic late 90s, early 2000s lineup of Porcupine Tree. Sky Moves Sideways, they is very Pink Floyd influenced. That was one of the big obvious early Porcupine Tree influences. Not just the proggy side, but also the psychedelic side of Pink Floyd was pretty big in Steven Wilson's wheelhouse. This one in particular, though, it was an epic, largely instrumental album. The Sky
Mhm.
Moves Sideways, the track itself. I see. I do not have a physical copy of the album. That's what the cover looks like. I don't know how you can see it,
Mhm.
but I do have this lovely set here, the Delirium years 91 to 97, which has stuff from, yeah, Sky Moves Sideways Phase 1 is included on here, which is 18 and a half minutes
Mhm.
in largely instrumental. It's just spacey, think very Floydian soundscapes. And if you like to imbibe the herb, this will be right up your alley if you just want to sit back and zone out. Uh, it's perfect for that. But even if you don't, it's still quite a nice album. Very relaxing. Very take you away to another place kind of vibe. And of course, they would go on to change their sound, go in a much different direction later, as we will see in the future, probably.
Mhm.
But yeah, this era is kind of one of my favorites here. I really liked this early original Porcupine Tree band lineup era. There was a lot of good stuff there before they became very well known. And,
Mhm.
not that they're a big superstar band now, but they are definitely a
They're
very
more
large
known now.
cult
Yeah.
band.
Mhm.
But yeah, Porcupine Tree, The Sky Moves Sideways is my number five.
Cool. Cool. My number five, ladies and gentlemen, is Van Halen with Balance. Um, This is the last album to feature Sammy Hagar on lead vocals. Uh, Songs of note on the album are Seventh Seal, which starts off the album, which I do believe won them a Grammy for Best Rock Track. Um, don't quote me on that, but I do believe reading something about that. Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is the lead off single. Can't Stop Loving You, which is more of a pop rock kind of a feel. Um, Good heavy album. This was produced by Bruce Fairbairn. This was where the band started to sort of splinter, where you had, Sammy Hagar starting to sort of question what was going on with regards to management, and the Van Halen boys basically trying to take control of the band, with Michael Anthony kind of stuck in the middle. Um, I believe I read in Hagar's book Red that RED actually that he didn't like the fact that they chose Ray Daniels of our SRO management from Rush's manager. He didn't think that he was good for the band, and according to him, there was a bit of a dissension in the ranks, spearheaded by Daniels. So after this album, the band parted ways shortly after, about a year after, sorry. But it is a good heavy album, um, and it is my number five.
Yeah, I read Sammy's book a few years back, and I believe you're correct about his thoughts on Ray Daniels. Of course, Ray Daniels features heavily in this book by Geddy Lee, which is the current, which we will eventually be reviewing.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I mean Ray Daniels was one when Rush in the early stages wanted Geddy Lee out of the band
Mm-hmm.
originally. So Ray Daniels, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
And yet he's still there with them today. So go figure. I mean,
because I think maybe they put him in his place, and I mean Geddy Lee, maybe.
yeah, you may be right.
So, but
All
I
right.
digress. I'm not a bitter person.
No.
No, no. Bill knows me. I'm not bitter. I'm
Oh,
just smart. I mean, so you're
all right.
number four.
My number four is the second appearance by this guy. I first discussed him in the year 1990, the group he had with Patrick Leonard, Toy Matinee. This is his first official album under strictly his own name. It's Stud by Kevin Gilbert. That's the actual album cover. My version, this is the front of it. It has this EP, which has his version of Led Zeppelin's Kashmir, which is a pretty cool rocking version. It's shorter than the original, but it's kind of awesome, really.
Mhm.
And you get three other songs on the EP. So this is the special edition here. This is a pretty rocking singer songwriter type album that Kevin had an amazing voice. His lyrics were very intelligent, incisive, could be rather cutting and humorous.
Mhm.
For those who may not recall, Kevin was one of the co-writers of Sheryl Crow's first big hit, "All I Want to Do," and was her boyfriend at the time. He was the one that introduced her to the Tuesday Night Music Club and brought her into that whole group of players,
Mhm.
and was a big part of that debut album before their relationship came apart. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, Kevin didn't quite have the success that she did, but he damn well deserved that and more. Uh, this man was a brilliant musician, songwriter, producer, multi-talented. There's some great songs on here. One moment, folks, as I attend my prop.
Mhm.
Joytown is one of the songs here, just to give you a quick sample of the lyrics here. Uh, Senator McCarthy enjoys a book by Marx. people tear down parking lots so they can build more parks. Jimmy plays the perfect note that never seems to end, and Martin Luther King has got a blonde white girlfriend. We're singing here in Joytown. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Another one of my favorite lyrics is "We're the cleanup crew for parties we were too young to attend." Kevin is he was just I believe a year older than me, so he's very much early Gen X. Discussing the boomers, of course.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not shit on all the boomers. I love me some of the boomers, of course, including my own parents. But
Hmm.
yeah, the general gist, of course, was that the boomers got to have all the fun and we got left with the shit to clean up afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's kind of where Kevin was coming from there.
Almost
Uh,
like the sins of the father were visited upon the son, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He has T for One, which is a pretty crushing song about a guy who finds out that he's being cheated on the hard way, and yeah, well, looks like T for One again. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tearjerker of a song. Shadow Self is 6 minutes and 66 seconds long. That's how it's listed. Take that for how you want it.
Hmm.
That was obviously deliberate, but it's a spooky kind of alternative proggy song. I don't even quite know how to describe this beast, but it's quite a fun, good rock song. Uh, Kevin would go on to do other things, but not for much longer. I mean, just a couple years later, he had died. Uh, there's lots of posthumous material. But yeah, this is not a bad place to start at all. Thud by Kevin Gilbert is his brilliant solo debut.
Well, well, you're gonna have to send me a list of these obsolete, underground names that.
There's going to be more coming,
Okay.
guaranteed,
All
as
right.
we get
Cool.
into the 90s deeper.
Cool. Cool. Um, we must continue, ladies and gentlemen. My number four is, wait for it, Bon Jovi with These Days. Um, this when this album came out, it's sort of, I found out about it the very last minute. It came out in November of '95, and the lead off single was the Saint of Love song. I'm not what you would call a major Bon Jovi fan, but I bought this album. I listened to it. I like every song on this album. Every song. There are 12 tracks. Other singles of note are Something for the Pain, Hey God, Lie to Me. Um, but every song is good. It starts off with Hey God, Something for the Pain, which they were working on this song, Something for the Pain, right up until the album was being mixed because they could never get it right. Okay. And again, yeah, they sing a love song. These Days, the title track, Lie to Me, which is in all those five tracks are singles. Other songs in note are Damned, the last track on side one. Side two starts off with the song As My Guitar Lies Bleeding in My Arms, which is a song about having writer's block. You know, Hearts Breaking Even is another track. What if that's what it takes is another fantastic track. And it ends off with a ballad called Diamond Ring. And basically, this album is, people are saying, "Oh, Bon Jovi, big rock star. How can he have any issues or issues with money or whatever?" Guys, he's writing songs from the perspective of an individual who has a family to support and isn't earning enough money to make ends meet, otherwise known as Hey God, lead off track. And but the majority of the tracks are basically about a guy who, at his age, he's looking back on his life and he's realizing that, again, all that glitters isn't gold and there has to be something more. That's why this album is that good. Okay. It was produced by Peter Collins, who worked with them because they liked the work he did with Rush and with Queensryche. And you know what? This is a damn good album. So that's why it's my number four.
Peter Collins' connection definitely got my attention. He's one of my favorite Rush producers.
Yeah, I saw your eyebrows hit the top of your forehead when I said that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So yeah, it's my number four.
All right. Nice. Well, my number three actually has the Kevin Gilbert connection again. It was purely accidental, but
Not
it worked
allowed.
out that way.
Not
It
allowed.
was a pure fluke. I didn't even think about it at the time when I made my list originally. Uh, Kevin actually mastered this album. Um, he had a studio called, I think it was Lawnmower and Garden Studio. But yeah, this band on the first album and a bit on the second album had an association with Kevin. Their drummer, Nick DiVirgilio, was friends with Kevin and worked on some of Kevin's posthumous material later on and helped finish one of his albums. The band is Spock's Beard, and the album is The Light. This is their debut cover here. This is absolutely, in many ways, a throwback to the progressive rock of the 70s. That was kind of their whole point. At this point, the band was very much centered around leader, singer, songwriter, keyboard player Neil Morse. The unquestionably the centerpiece of the band here at this stage in their career. Uh, these are largely long, stereotypically progressive rock songs. You can definitely tell their influences Gentle Giant and Yes and Genesis. The Gentle Giant, especially primarily in different vocal tricks, counterpoint, stuff like that. But
Mhm, mhm.
um,
I'm gonna check that out too.
yeah, this at the time, I think it hasn't aged well for some people. It has aged well for me. I really dig this stuff. Uh, I really like all of their early albums quite a bit. When I first heard them, it wasn't until 2000 when I finally heard them, and they blew my mind. It was, wow, what is this? I got to have this.
Mhm.
His voice can be a love it or hate it thing too. I think he has a good singing voice. I've always liked it, but some people do not. So buyer beware there. Check it out first, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a song in here called The Water, which is 23 minutes and 14 seconds long. It has something that, Neil Morse became a born again Christian in the early 2000s. Spoiler alert, he left the band, blah, blah, blah. That's a story for a later day, really. But I bring it up because he did something here which he wouldn't do later, and I think he kind of regretted, but I think was brilliant and worked well. So if you don't like F bombs, close your ears. There's a midsection of this song where he talks about his parents messed him up and all these people messed him up and why he's a broken person. And then it gets to this part called F you, I'm sorry. And you gave me this home, then you left me alone. Fuck you. You act real nice while you're exacting your price. Fuck you. And it goes on like that for 2 or 3 minutes. And then it segues out of this violent, angry section into the I'm so sorry. I really, really am so sorry. That kind of thing. And it works so well. I think a lot of people get stressed out about the F bombs, but it was perfect for this. It expressed the emotion here. It was well placed and exactly what it needed to be, and followed by that acoustic, melodic, I'm so sorry section is just a great segue. It was very well done. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of that, but many people are not. The Light itself, title track, has some pretty goofy lyrics, but that's par for the course.
Mhm.
Sometimes lyrics are excellent with this band. Sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
your mileage may vary depending on what you look for, but yeah, if another case of if you want to know where modern progressive rock was in the 90s, this is one of the main big examples amongst the hardcore progressive rock community at that time,
Hmm.
and I think it still holds up.
Cool.
Oxbeard Delight.
Cool. We're covering a lot of territory here, like a broad spectrum, you know. Um, my number three, ladies and gentlemen, is Smashing Pumpkins with Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Um, a beautiful album, double, I guess you call it a concept album, 28 tracks. Um, disc one is Dawn, and disc two is Dusk. And this was where the Smashing Pumpkins really burst into the mainstream with songs like um, Bullet with Butterfly Wings. You know, with the lead off lyric, the world is a vampire, like it's just great. Other songs of note are 1979, my favorite track on the album. Tonight is another one. It starts off with a beautiful instrumental intro called Melancholy. And it's just like 2 minutes and 50 seconds of just beautiful, tranquil piano, right? Other songs of note are Fuck You, an ode to no one, an ode to no one, sorry. I could say the F part properly, but I couldn't say the rest of it. Zero, 33, all these songs are fantastic. I was able to get my copy of this double album for $10. $10 for a double album. So, and I also was able to get the box set that came, like that came out a few years ago off of eBay, which contains unreleased tracks, demos, alternate takes, just an amazing album. Um, Billy Corgan would go off the rails after this, saying that albums aren't selling anymore. He wasn't going to record any more albums. He was just going to do things by piecemeal, by releasing a track here and there. Da, 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 da. You know what? If you're a musician, if you want to release albums, just release a fucking album. Okay? And make it available to everybody and not just the elite or the ones that, the fans or the fan clubs. Make it available to everybody. And you know what? Stop being a prima donna. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, that's my number. What number am I? I'm at three.
Yeah, and as soon as you said number three, I realized I screwed up.
You
I
did.
skipped my number four because it's the only one that I don't have a physical copy of. I was looking at my pile instead of my list.
Okay, okay.
So Spock's Beard was actually my number two, and Kevin Gilbert was my number three. So
Okay.
I'm backtracking to my number four pick for this.
Okay. I'll go
My
to my
number
number
four
two.
pick uh, is another one by Frank Zappa.
Oh.
At this point, the late Frank Zappa. Since I got Kevin Gilbert, I might as well talk about dead Frank Zappa too here. Uh,
True. True.
got a theme going
True.
apparently.
True.
Um, this is Civilization Phase 3, and it's another weird one. It has a lot of the synclavier, which was this odd instrument that Frank really became a fan of in the 80s because he didn't require musicians. He could play the things that he heard in his head and didn't have to worry about anybody screwing it up
Yeah.
and not meeting his exacting perfectionist standards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, fair enough. I wish the technology would have been a little further along for him because I can only imagine what he would do with today's technology. But this album is a mix of spoken word bits going all the way back to the 60s, um, and instrumental, full on instrumental tracks. Possibly the key track is a song called In Light, as in dash Lite. It's a fairly long track, double digit length. Yeah, all instrumental again. But this, in addition to the synclavier, there was some actual other instrumental bits here and there, instruments added in. But really, this is a cool just sit back and zone out and listen to Zappa the composer. It's quite a bit different from the Yellow Shark that I mentioned a couple episodes ago, which
Okay.
had, the ensemble modern playing it. This is obviously a different set of instrumentation here, but it's a similar thing. The key focus here is Frank Zappa as a composer. Uh, that's the main takeaway from this. Just to realize, if you really get into this thing, what a brilliant musician this guy was. If you can look past the sound of the synclavier, which I like the sound of it, it's its own unique
Hmm.
beast. So
Hmm.
if you can't get past that, well, I can't help you there. Then fair enough. I get it. We all have sounds we just can't stand. And
You're SOL, right? I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, if you're looking to dig deeper in Zappa's catalog and get a little adventurous, yeah, I'd check this out right along with the Yellow Shark. They're similar but very different, and both well worth checking out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Civilization Phase 3
Okay. All
was my
right.
number 4, not my
That's
number 2.
fine. That's fine. We must carry on. My number two, ladies and gentlemen,
Back
and
on
this
track.
and this is us without smoking joints. Okay. Okay. My number two is Prince with the Gold Experience.
Prince
Yes.
mentioned
Yes. This album came out. I was surprised. It came out September 22nd, 1995. Um, his last big hurrah with Warner Brothers. The story goes was that Prince in 1993 gave Warner Brothers two albums to complete his contract. Come in 1993, Come is spelled Come, um, and it said Prince 1958 to 1993. And then he gave them the Gold Experience. He wanted the albums released on the same day. They were all done, ready to go. Warner Brothers said, no, we don't want one album competing with the other. We'll wait. This album basically was going to come out in 1994. It never did. It came out in 1995. So you have a bit of a lopsided um, performance with the album because some of the tracks were dealing with stuff from 1994 references. Okay. But on the album, you have songs like P Control, which stands for Pussy Control, which is an affirmation for women to stand up and be counted as viable human beings from any relationship that you're in. You're worth more than what you're being given. And that's all I'm going to say about that because I have personal experience losing a family member because of that. Won't go there. You have other songs like Endorphin Machine, Shh, which is another track, 7 minutes and 19 seconds of adolescent sexuality. We won't go there. We March, a duet with Nona Gay, Marvin Gaye's daughter. Dolphin, which is a track about censorship. Um, Other songs of note are 319, that's on side two. Billy Jack Bitch, another song featuring Lenny Kravitz on backup vocals. Um, Shy is another good track, another sort of mid-tempo R&B based track. And it ends off with Gold. And it basically, Gold was supposed to be 1995's version of Purple Rain because it clocks in at 7 minutes and change. And basically, he's saying, much like Bon Jovi was saying in the album of These Days, that you may think that what you have in front of you, all these tangible things, the money, the prestige, the possessions, that is going to make you happy. But one of the lyrics in the chorus says, all that glitters ain't gold, meaning it comes from within you and what you can give to others and what you can give to yourself first and foremost. Because if you don't love yourself, no one else is going to love you. unless you prove that you're worth it. Um, it's a very affirming album, very positive album. Um, it didn't do well because Prince really did not want to promote it as much because he was already recording tracks that were going to become Emancipation in 1996. He was in a big fight with his record company because of this. Won't get into that. I did another show on Prince with another person's name I will not mention ever again. You can watch it on that other person's channel, and you know who I'm talking about. Um, but that is my number two, Prince with the Gold Experience. Check it out. There are 18 tracks. Um, I think 12 musical tracks and 6 spoken interludes featuring the NPG operator. So it's my number two.
Did Prince ever sleep?
Never.
I didn't think so. I
I
mean,
think when he slept for like 3 hours.
he was a machine. I mean, just what a song. Here you go. Here's a few.
He could write a song a day. And
Ridiculous.
his major thing was with Warner Brothers, I'm giving you an album, put it out now. Warner Brothers thing was, you're saturating the market. And his thing was, if James Brown or Aretha Franklin could put out an album in 3 or 6 months apart, why can't I?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers' argument was, and I agree with Warner Brothers, um, a campaign, an ad campaign, a marketing campaign for an album, let's say costs like $200,000 or $250,000. Okay. Posters, adverts on the radio, on TV, videos, all of that takes time. So he didn't want to slow down. He didn't want to let people sit with this stuff and then give them another album a year later. His thing was, if I make an album or if I make a track on a Tuesday, you should have it by Thursday. And Warner Brothers was saying, we cannot do this. It's not possible. No one is that, robotic or that superhuman that we can do this. And he's like, you're not marketing me properly. And it's like, you know what? When he said, I want out, they said, go, you're done for now. So sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize.
Oh no, that's good. That's why I was asking. That's a man. It's a good thing. Capitol didn't tell the Beatles that kind of thing in the '60s when they were bulleting out nonstop songs.
When the Beatles were signed to 2 albums a year. And I didn't even know that until I did my research.
Record companies.
Gotta hate them in
Yeah.
terms of, yeah.
All right. Now I'm officially back on track with the numbering.
Number one,
Number one. Well, you've already mentioned it. It's
Liberace.
Juggernaut, as you called it. Yeah, it's Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. This thing stands the test of time. I don't care. I mean, wow, it's great. I still like a lot of Alanis' stuff since then, also.
Yeah,
She's still putting out good stuff. But yeah, this album defines 1995.
yeah.
I think when Stacy and I first got together, this for the first couple of years, this might be the album that she played the most when it was her turn to pick an album to put on the CD player. Now I don't think she ever puts it on. She doesn't dislike it or anything, but Pink very much took Alanis's place a
Yeah.
long time ago. So I think I cherish this album more than she does at this point.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a freaking masterpiece. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And no, I don't care if everything in the lyrics of Ironic are not examples of irony. It doesn't matter. That's not really the point of the song. That song can still get me teared up every time that the old man, you know, oh man, yeah, damn.
Went
And
to
just,
lautering and he dies the next day.
yeah, and the guy who waited his whole damn life take this flight.
And as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice?
Yeah, that's a
So,
crushing line. Just yeah, but yeah, it's a powerful song anyway, and it's musically, it's melodically gorgeous. It's wow.
yeah,
It's
just
yeah. It's probably still my favorite song on the album, but I don't think there's a bad song on this
no,
album. I mean, the
no.
singles are all great, the album tracks are all great. Obviously, You Ought to Know was well, I think we all probably all know by now who it's
It
about.
was about.
Maybe I should cut it out and not say, but if you know, you know, Full House fans.
Yeah, no, no. He didn't even know it was about him.
Yeah, but
He
yeah,
was
that's it's brutal.
he was so dense that someone looked at his friend said, "Do you know Alanis wrote a song about you?" He's like, "What? What did I do?"
Yeah, everybody that's heard that song, I mean,
Yeah,
if you haven't heard that song by now, I don't know what to tell you. You all know the iconic lines from that song and
yeah.
how she got down and dirty.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna need to
we've
sit
probably had
back
enough
and
F bombs already in this episode, I guess, so I don't need to
yeah,
share Alanis's. But let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Perfect is great. Head over feet. That one is just such a it's just such a sweet song about
yeah,
her finding someone who treats her right.
yeah, yeah,
So it totally makes up for stuff like You Ought to Know, which is, okay, there can be bright spots.
yeah,
There can be good people and good relationships. And yeah, the album's not all dark by any stretch of the
yeah,
imagination.
yeah.
Uh, this album took a lot of shit for, much like the Indigo Girls a few years earlier, but being this, like, college sophomore confessional lyrics, whatever. I don't care. There's some excellent lyrics on here. Even
Yeah.
I, an almost 56-year-old man, can still dig into a lot of these lyrics. I think she did an
So
excellent job. So, yeah, even though it's not her debut, let's face it, everybody really thinks of this as her debut, and it might as well have been.
yeah,
Uh,
with Maverick Warners. Yeah.
yeah, Glenn Ballard obviously played a big part in this, but
Mm.
yeah, this is an album that she will never get past. This is always going to be
Yeah.
her claim to fame and her albatross,
Hmm.
for better and for worse. So yeah, like I said, she's done a lot of really good stuff since this album, but yeah, this is the big dog. This is the one that is going to define her career, and I said define the year 1995.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that album, I mean, songs like All I Really Want, um, You Want to Know, Perfect, um, Forgiven, uh, You Learn, Head Over Feet, Not the Doctor, Wake Up, with the lyric from Wake Up, there's no fundamental excuse for the granted I'm taken for. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm getting shivers, like, just like thinking about it. It's like, holy shit. I mean, forgiving and tackling the Catholic Church, it's like, my God,
Yeah, and this was, after Sinead O'Connor had taken so much shit, but
yeah.
Atlantis barreled right on, and
Yeah. And ironic. I mean, yeah. And that was going to be on my list, but I took it off. But I thought, thank God you put it on.
oh yeah, it had to be on my list. I think this is one of those cases. She's a good example of a next generation woman in music who absolutely inspired a ton of other women.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't mention Avril Lavigne's name, but obviously that's a big one. Oh, I guess I did mention her name. Yeah, but there's a ton more.
You know what? You know what? It's going to get me in shit. Alanis Morissette, Avril Lavigne. I'm sorry. There is no effing comparison. Get out of here. That's like comparing um Pink to Minnie Mouse. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't do that. I'm
I
sorry.
do like Avril, but I do like Alanis more.
No, I have I bought Jagged Little Pill when it came out. I bought Supposed Infatuated Junkie, that
Yeah, that's
the follow-up. I bought Under Rug Swept when that came out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
another
I want
good.
to get that one too. So yeah, no, amazing, amazing albums. Um, I'm getting chills. Like I'm like the hairs on my arms are standing up. I mean, seriously, when I think about it.
Got the Alanis
Um,
back.
yeah, no, I mean, it's great. Um, my number one, ladies and gentlemen, for 1995 are the Tea Party with The Edges of Twilight. They're a follow-up to Splendor Solace, the one album that was produced and recorded in LA. This was seen as their breakthrough, their minor breakthrough in the US. The album was co-produced by Jeff Martin and Ed Stasis, who had worked with Living Color in the past. This album, 12 tracks, amazing, amazing. I have gone on record of saying it in other shows that the Tea Party saved music for me in the 90s. I will die by that statement. I swear to God. The album was released in March of 1995 through EMI and Chrysalis in the US and in the UK through Chrysalis. The songs of note are Fire in the Head, the lead-off single, The Bazaar, the second track on the album, Correspondences, the epic 7 minute plus track, Sister Awake, which was a single. An edited version of the song was released as a single. Sister Awake took, in terms of recording and mixing, took 3 recording machines linked together in order to handle all 52 instruments that were used on that track. And all of those instruments were played by the 3 members of the band. They did not bring outside musicians. They did it all themselves. Other songs of note are The Badger, the instrumental. Side 2 is more of a blues rock kind of a feel, uh, with songs like Turn the Lamp Down Low. Jeff Martin's vocals on this album are effing brilliant. Okay. He has, because he's a baritone for a lead singer, he has the power, the punch, the sensuality in his vocal approach. And I did say sensuality. If John Bonham can have sex in his playing on drums, Jeff Martin can have sensuality in his vocals. He is effing brilliant. Other songs of note are Inanna and Walk With Me, which is the final track on the album. Brilliant. Just bloody brilliant. And at the end of Walk With Me, there's like a 4 minute block of silence. And then there's a little instrumental that comes in with a spoken word passage by Roy Harper. Okay. And Jeff Martin would go on to do some production work on Roy Harper's album, The Green Man. Okay. Moving on. So that is my number one, Tea Party, Edges of Twilight. Check it out. It is effing brilliant. Case closed.
Roy Harper. Yeah, definitely did not know that.
Yeah.
Have a cigar, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. Just amazing. And according to Roy Harper, Jeff Martin's work ethic, sublime. He could go in there. Jeff Martin can do basically drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, whatever he needs to do and get it done. But the Tea Party are very much a trio. It's an ensemble. It's a group. So you really got to listen to this album. It is brilliant.
you talking about the 52 instruments that they played, all of them kind of, it's
On
like a supercharged version of what the Moody Blues or Gentle Giant used to do. Just let's bring all these things in here. Who's going to play what? And it's,
the track is called Sister Awake, which where they play all the instrument the Middle Eastern instruments, and literally they needed three recording machines to record every single track, every single instrument that needed to be done. They all did it themselves. They didn't get outside musicians. They learned to play these instruments themselves. This album, The Edges of Twilight, was finished when they were still promoting Splendor Solace.
so it waited a while.
But that's how proficient they were. They were like, we got to get this out. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And they did, right? And I will say that is what Jeff Martin said, and it is to the credit of EMI Canada that the Tea Party were allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted to do in the studio. They were never interfered with record company, A&R men, anything like that. Whatever they wanted to do, they did. And the proof is in the pudding. You have to listen to it. Bill, I'm telling you, you really do. Like, amazing, amazing.
Eventually, we're going to get around to that new music discovery Tea Party.
We will, we will. That's probably going to be coming up very soon. Um, your first honorable mention.
My first honorable mention is my second mention of this band on this countdown. It is their second album. It is Rocket Scientists. It's Brutal Architecture.
Oh my God. Okay.
They've gotten a little more serious here. Got a little further into the proggy stuff, a little away from the poppier stuff. It's mostly a pretty serious, sober album with just excellent playing. Again, just simply a really good example of mid 90s, what you would imagine classic progressive rock would sound like moved into the mid 90s with modern sensibilities. Eric Norlander and Mark McCrite are the main two members here, but of course, you got Don Schiff. And I didn't mention last time, Tommy Amato was the drummer at this point on both these albums. And of course, Eric's wife, Lana Lane, was again doing some backup vocals. Um, yeah, Eric is in particular, he is a pretty amazing musician. I think he may be my favorite keyboard player. I mean, I'm talking even over people like Tony Banks and Rick Wakeman, and
Really?
yeah. I just really like his particular style. Of course, he's influenced by all these people, and he's very much influenced by Keith Emerson. Yeah, so yeah, Rocket Scientist, Brutal Architecture, my first honor.
All right. My first honorable mention is Radiohead with the Bends. Um, the the main single for me on this album is Street Spirit. Just a beautiful, emotional track. Very, oh my God, a very sober track in that in its production and its execution. Tom York's vocals on this track are simply sublime, and to me, it just talks about an individual that has lost his way, and they want to find their way back to their life, whatever is left of it. Other songs of note are High and Dry, the single, and the title track, The Bends. But Street Spirit really got my attention. The video for it, where you have like, you know, um, live action mixed with slow motion, and it's done in black and white, it's a very powerful video. Um, and it's just amazing. That's my first.
I would agree that it's a really good album, but yeah, Street Spirit stands out. That song is such a strong enough and well written enough song that for those who remember The Darkness, I'm actually a bit of a fan of Justin Hawkins and The Darkness. You think, I believe in a thing called love. You think kind of big, goofy, over the top, ridiculous stuff. The Darkness did a straight cover of Street Spirit. They didn't make it a joke at all, and it worked. It was still the powerful song that Radiohead created. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean Tom York's vocals on Street Spirit are just soaring. They're just they grab you by the heart and they wring it out. Right? Too emotional for for these episodes, I'm telling you. But
it's the 90s. I think we're getting emotional in every episode in the 90s for some
I
reason. I
think
don't
we
know what
are.
it is
Yeah,
about
I
this
think we are.
decade.
I think we are.
We were both in our 20s in the 90s. Is that like we were finally moving into the adult world a bit more, and our
Yeah,
brains were getting fully developed finally?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were waking up a little bit more
Yeah.
to the realities of what life is about.
Mhm.
Your last honorable mention?
All right. This one is very much related to my previous honorable mention, Rocket Scientist. This is the debut album from Lana Lane, Eric Norlander's wife. And of course, Eric and Rocket Scientist members, as well as other members, appear on here. And this starts out as a basically, I guess you could call it a symphonic rock is probably the best term for it. It's not quite progressive. It's not
Mhm.
straight hard rock. It has some ballady stuff, borderline, hair metal-y ballad type stuff, but
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of everything thrown in here. But the stars of the show are Lana's voice, and again, Eric Norlander in particular as a musician. He's all over this, and he actually produced it as he produced the Rocket Scientist albums as well. There's this whole group of artists, Lana, Eric, and Rocket Scientist primarily, are part of, or at least were at this time, part of Think Tank Media, which was their own company. They released their own albums through. They also released them in Japan, which is kind of where they first hit it semi big. That was where they first really found an audience. Yeah, folks in Japan seemed to like them well, so they had special editions made there, and you get bonus tracks over there on the label Avalon, which was named after a rocket scientist song. Here, the songs are mostly originals, but there are some covers, including my favorite, which is a song called Colored Life. And that is just a pure, perfect pop song. Uh, it has great backing harmony vocals on it, strong hooks. There's some hard rockers on here, like the title track, Love's an Illusion. Lana would go on to do much better than this, I think. Well, this one, even Eric himself didn't think it was quite done right, because this is the 2 disc set. You have the original 1995 version and the 1998 remixed version with bonus tracks. Within that time, he was already saying, you know what, we could better this. So take that for what it's worth. If you're looking for it, definitely look for the one that's got both versions. But yeah, you'll be hearing more from Lana.
okay, okay.
She has sorry, I forgot to mention
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
the basic comparison I heard that made me check her out originally back around 2000 ish or so. The online reviews was she was compared to Ann Wilson of Heart. And
Okay.
I can definitely see that, but she's not as raw, and she doesn't have that growly thing that Ann has. Lana's voice is more of a smooth instrument, more she could be more sometimes suited to singing standards or something like that, the Great American Songbook kind of stuff, and which she's actually a fan of. And eventually she does cover some of those. So, yeah, that'll give you the general vibe, though. Ann Wilson is a good starting reference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, my last honorable mention for 1995 is Tears for Fears with Raul and the Kings of Spain. Came out in September of 95, the only release for Epic Sony Music. Kurt Smith was off on his own at this point. Roland Dorzabal kept the name Tears for Fears and kept going. This is a follow up to Elemental from 1993. Um, a very guitar based album with the lead off track, Raul. And Raul is Spanish for Roland, and Roland Orzabal is of Spanish descent. Um, Very eclectic mix of music. You have the straight rock of the title track. You have the flamenco Spanish guitar influence of Sketches of Pain. Sorry, not Spain. Sketches of Pain. Other songs of note are Don't Drink the Water, which is pretty much a straightforward between the eyes rocker, using references in the lyrics to Frida Kahlo. Yes, that Frida Kahlo. Um, Another track of interest is Humdrum and Humble, which he's kind of using his David Bowie voice on this track. Um, it's a fantastic album. The lead-off single, God's Mistake, didn't hit well or didn't hit with the public. I do think that God's Mistake was a mistake for a lead-off single. He does a duet with Olita Adams on this album called Me and My Big Ideas. It is, for lack of a better word, brilliant. This should have been the lead-off single for the album. It's very melancholy, it's very introspective. It's a guy telling his wife or his girlfriend, I'm not what you need. I can't do for you what you need in your life. You need to go and find someone else with my blessing. The lyric, there's a lyric in the track of Me and My Big Ideas. So many strings to your bow, why not let one go? Meaning, your life is ahead of you. Go and do with it what you can. You have so much potential. I'm holding you back. All right. Go and find who's going to make you happy. Um, the album is great. The reason why it's an honorable mention, some of the songs, looking back on it now, are not as strong as I thought they were. Like Sketches of Pain is great. Um, Me and My Big Ideas make the album. That one track makes the album. Um, but it is my honorable mention, my last one. I really do think you should check this out. Um, Epic quickly dropped them after the album didn't sell. Um, but again, what do record companies know, right? It
Exactly.
is what it is. So,
I bought a copy. I also bought Elemental. I still haven't, even though there could be arguments made whether he should have used the Tears for Fears name without Kurt. I mean, is one guy really a band? Like, I'm not going to quibble one way or the other.
well,
I
I
mean,
think at this point he was still on a bit of an ego trip
uh,
because when they asked him during I think it was a press tour for Elemental, he did an interview for the new music. Roland Orzabal did, and the interviewer asked him, "How do you and Kurt come up with with the lyrical ideas with the music?" And he's like, "Well, first of all, I write the music and the lyrics for the band. Kurt doesn't. It all comes from me. So you know what? Get off your effing horse." You know what I mean? What do you think of Raul and the Kings of Spain?
I remember liking it, but it's been quite a while since I listened to either it or Elemental. There's yeah, It's been quite a while. I know I enjoyed them at the time, but yeah, I need to refresh myself with the whole Tears for Fears catalog. Really, I mean, there's some obvious ones that I'm constantly familiar with, including one which will appear on my list. Uh, there's only so many left, so you can guess.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but
Well, yeah, no, I just think that Epic chose the wrong single as a leadoff single. God's mistake. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you listen to me and my big ideas, I think you know what I'm talking about. Um, but
if they would have had a comeback hit at that point, it would have been like Duran Duran having their comeback hits a few years earlier, and that about similar distance from the heyday and the last big hits.
yeah, yeah. But having said that, you have Raúl and the Kings of Spain. You have Everybody Loves a Happy Ending in 2004. Spoiler alert, to me, that album is a perfect pop rock album from start to finish.
Well, spoiler alert, that's the album I'm talking about.
I knew
And
it.
it's my favorite Tears for Fears album, period. Even over Songs for the Big Chair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's their perfect hey, let's channel our inner Beatles and bring them into 2004 and mix them up with our own sound. And wow, every
Oh my
song
God,
brilliant.
Secret World.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that when we do 2004.
Yeah, yeah, like Secret World. It's over. We're done. That's it. Case closed. Game, set, match. Point. We're done. So
And Kurt was back in the band then, Roland.
that's right. That's right. Think about it. All right. So, guys, our top five albums of 1995 plus two honorable mentions. This is coffee in my mug here, guys. I promise you. Um,
I sorry, I just thought of
all
one
right,
quick connection.
go ahead.
Spock's Beard connection. I mentioned drummer Nick DeVirgilio earlier.
Yeah.
He has also been the touring drummer for Tears for Fears.
Really?
We got all kinds of connections here, folks.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, I
That
didn't know
just
that.
crossed my mind. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay, guys. Again, our top five, take two. Our top five albums of 1995 plus two honorable mentions. Sorry, we got a little bit sidetracked here and there. But you know what? Bill and I love each other as friends so much that we get into music and we
We
go
love
off on tangents, right? And,
sidetracks are fun.
and I can honestly tell you guys, I have not met a better co-host than Bill Schuster. I really do mean that. I mean that 1000%. So, guys, again, put down the comments down below, down there, your top five albums of 1995 plus two honorable mentions, or how many you want to put in. And again, there are no right or wrong answers, just opinion. So, and coming up on the channel, here we go. Bill Schuster and I are going to be doing our top 30 prog tracks at some point. We have our list. We just have to fine tune it. We are going to be doing another episode on Yes, Tales of Topographic Oceans with a subtitle Triumph or Turd. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, we have a lot of ideas coming up here. We're also going to be doing a new music discovery on this is going to be Bill's turn to talk about it. He's going to be talking about his opinion on the Tea Party. Okay, because there's a lot of albums to cover with the Tea Party. On my end, I'm going to be doing a Bruce Springsteen album ranking. It's going to be a two-part episode because Springsteen has 21 albums with and without the E Street Band. I'm also going to be doing a live album spotlight on the Bruce Springsteen legendary No Nukes 1979 concert that he did that was released in November of 2021. So stay tuned for that. And we have a lot of other ideas coming up. But for now, for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti signing off. Please, guys, have a good weekend, a good long weekend. If you celebrate Easter, Buona Pasqua a tutti. All right. And enjoy each other's company. And please look after yourselves and one another. We'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now.